Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports. Super excited for this video as we're going to discuss my 3 favorite trades from the 2024 NBA trade deadline. There was a bunch of different trades, double digits in fact, and we're going to discuss my 3 favorites from that because I really wanted to talk about which deals I favored the most out of all of them. We're going to talk about them a bit for each team involved in those 3 trades. I think it's just going to be a fun little video as a small recap from the trade deadline. I already have a winners and losers video up. And for a video preview, we're going to look at 3 what I would deem well-balanced trades. We're going to share why I like them both value-wise and basketball-wise when it comes to what I expect to see on the actual court. And then make sure you guys are liked and subscribed for not only the video but also the channel. Really appreciate you guys. Again, the trade deadline live stream is great. As you can tell, my voice is basically dead and raspy, but hey, we made it all the way through the trade deadline and I'm super stoked. For my first trade that I really liked, it was the trade between the Toronto Raptors and the Utah Jazz. And in this deal, the Raptors got both Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji. The Utah Jazz got Otto Porter Jr., Kira Lewis Jr., and a 2024 first round pick. So you might be wondering, why this trade? Why is this the first trade you wanted to talk about? Because I like it for both sides a lot for a few different reasons. The Jazz, I want to start with them specifically. They had already pointed themselves towards selling. And remember, on Wednesday, February 7th, they traded Simone Fontecchio to the Detroit Pistons for what is likely going to be a very high-value second-round selection in the 2024 NBA draft. And I think when they did that, everyone, including myself in the live streams, said, hey, look, this is a good sign that the Jazz are going to be operating as sellers this trade deadline. And they continued that by selling off Olynyk and then, of course, attaching Ochai Agbaji in that deal as well. And in the process, then they picked up another first-round pick in this year's draft. Toronto, of course, had already picked up a first-rounder in the Pascal Siakam trade. So you could look at this as an extension of that Siakam trade where Kira Lewis Jr. came in that deal as well. He now goes back out to Utah. So Kira Lewis Jr., feel bad for him. He's on the move a lot, but Jazz get Otto Porter Jr., Kira Lewis Jr., 2 players who aren't big deals in this deal for them specifically, but they get a 2024 first rounder, and I think it's a fascinating deal because, again, something that I held my opinion on as soon as they traded Fontecchio was that the Jazz were going to probably move toward tanking this year. And I know a lot of people disagree with me and they suggest, oh, well, the Jazz would want their pick to convey this year, not next year. My assumption is they want their pick to convey neither season. I think they want to keep their top 10 pick this year. I think they want to keep their pick next year by tanking even further. And they will continue to tank to make sure that they're getting their own draft picks moving forward while also still taking in the assets from other trades like the Gobert and Mitchell trade. Here they get an extra 2024 first rounder. They have that Pistons extra pick that they got in the Fontecchio deal. So Utah's loading up on more draft assets than they already had, which I like for them. And for Toronto, listen, a weird situation. They were 6th worst record in the league going into the NBA trade deadline. So for you to say, well, would they want to operate as a buyer? I'd kind of be a little gun shy on that, but I think the value here made some sense for them. Picking up a former lottery level pick in Ochai Agbaji, a player who I never loved as much coming out of Kansas, but at least there is some 3-and-D potential here as a wing player. He shoots the ball relatively well. He's got decent size for him for a perimeter player. And I think there is still a role in this league. And I think if you're looking at Toronto, what was one of the big things they needed around Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett? And it's more floor spacing. I think Emmanuel Quickley obviously going to be a key part of what they do here as well. I also like their Dennis Schroeder, Spencer Dinwiddie trade. They're going to waive or buy out Spencer Dinwiddie, which makes sense. Save them some money next year, getting off of Schroeder's deal. And in that money slot is where you see Kelly Olynyk, who I think is a great fit into Toronto. He's shooting very, very well from the field this year, above 70% from the field when it comes to the rim, where he's shooting the ball very, very well around the rack. Probably a career best season for him in that regard. And he's also shooting well above 40% from 3 on decent volume. So you're looking at an inside-out player who can score both beyond the arc and at the rim. Wouldn't call him a 3-level player. He doesn't shoot any mid-rangers basically, but that's perfect for today's NBA. I think it's going to open up a ton of space for the Toronto Raptors offense, where Jakob Poeltl really isn't that, floor spacing center for them. I think Olynyk can give you that, and night in, night out, you can run versatile lineups now. Olynyk can play the 4, he can play the 5. And with Agbaji, it gives you another floor spacer as well. So the Raptors here, they're selling a lower end first round pick in this deal. And I think because of that, they've definitely elevated their talent level, and I think it's a player that fits not only this season but going forward. So it's a pretty smart buy now move for them, for a team that typically wouldn't want to see a buy now move. I actually do think it made some sense for them, and I like it overall quite a bit. Going into trade number 2, this is one between the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons, and I like this one a lot as well. And there's a little bit more going on in this deal. The New York Knicks got both Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. I love that for the Knicks. I think the Knicks took a huge step forward through these trades that they made this deadline, because they're a contending team. We already know what they were able to do getting OG Anunoby about a month or so before the trade deadline. He's now out for 3 weeks with an injury. He's going to have surgery on his arm, it sounds like, to remove a bone fragment. It sounds like a tough surgery, but it sounds like he's going to be able to be back by the playoffs. Getting 2 really good role players here, I think, does a lot for helping stabilize the Knicks while OG Anunoby misses time. But I also think these 2 guys can play around OG Anunoby. Burke's more of a combo guard, someone who's able to get his shot off a live dribble. Bojan Bogdanovic is a mismatch nightmare for an offensive unit where you can post him up against smaller players. If you're playing him at the 3, I think that's going to be a benefit for you, but you can also utilize him as a 4, stretch out other teams a bit more. Again, lineup versatility is one of the most important things when you're looking at trades, and I think for the Knicks specifically, when we're talking about how does this improve them as a basketball team, more shooting, more shot making, a little bit more on-ball creation out of Burks, and I think with all of those things kind of complementing some of the flaws that this team had after trading away Emmanuel quickly, the Knicks took that step forward again. And then for the Pistons, why do I like this deal? They got Evan Fournier. It's an expiring salary. I'm completely cool with that. They got Malachi Flynn, a player who, former first-round pick by the Toronto Raptors, could be a player that in the right system, right situation, maybe could showcase some of his talent. He's an extremely gifted ball handler, a talented shot maker with some deep range. I think if you liken him to a player like Peyton Pritchard, who's found some stability this year in Boston, Malachi Flynn can maybe grow into that level of player. It's not a great player, but it's a player nonetheless that could be in the back end of a rotation. So they'll get to see what they have with him. He's still relatively young. The big piece here, though, is Quentin Grimes. Trading Burks and Bogdanovic, if you asked the Knicks last year about this, would they trade Quentin Grimes for Burks and Bogdanovic? The answer would have been a resounding no. This year, though, Quentin Grimes has had a little bit of a down year with the Knicks really in the hunt for contention. Grimes became much more available this trade deadline. The Pistons jumped on that opportunity. I think he will be a nice fit next to Cade Cunningham, Jay Nivey, a defensive-minded backcourt piece for them, who at times in his career has shot the ball very, very well. This year, not so much, but I still think for Detroit, this is a high upside swing for 2 players who likely weren't going to be a long-term part of your future. Trading off of Burks and Bogdanovic just made a ton of sense at the time that they did it. You also got Ryan Arcidiacono, not a big deal. I think he got waived, to be honest with you. But then also 2 future second-round picks in here too. So getting those second-rounders, I do believe, is pretty valuable in this deal, just because, again, you're giving up veteran players. And if you want to look at it through the lens of landing Grimes and a few second-round picks, really as the only pieces in the deal, that's still a huge win for the Pistons, in my opinion. I think that they did very, very well this trade deadline, and I think they got what I would equate to first-round value for Burks and Bogdanovic. I think they did very, very well, and again, I think for the Knicks, it made sense to step on the gas. They're really a true contender this year. You could argue that they're the second-best team in the Eastern Conference right now, behind the Boston Celtics. I would not really push back on that idea. The Knicks have been fantastic since trading for OG Anunoby, and I think they will continue to be very fantastic moving forward past the trade deadline now. Trade number 3, the final trade I wanted to talk about in this video, and it actually happened a week ago, but I just think out of all the trades that happened, this is one of the most meaningful deals of the bunch for a few reasons. The Memphis Grizzlies traded Steven Adams to the Houston Rockets for 3 second-round picks and Victor Oladipo. Oladipo got waived today after the trade deadline, which is completely cool. No problems there. So you might be saying, why is this trade so impactful for you if it's just Steven Adams for 3 second-round picks and Adams is out for this season? First of all, I think Steven Adams is the perfect complementary big for the Houston Rockets. He is one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA. He is just 31 years old going into next season. I think that's going to be an extremely valuable piece of information for the Rockets, who, listen, I think Steven Adams' game is going to age relatively well. He's built more off of strength than athleticism. He's really a smart positioning player who knows how to, get to the glass in effective ways and leverage his strength into rebounding opportunities on both ends of the floor. He's one of the best box out guys in the entire league. On defense, it leads to a bunch of guards getting a ton of rebounds. Think about Russell Westbrook's career in Oklahoma City. I think Amen Thompson's going to be one of the biggest benefactors of that, where he's already got a great defensive rebound rate. I think it's going to skyrocket when he's playing alongside Steven Adams. I think this is going to help Jalen Green. You're getting a nice, really big-time screen setter in Steven Adams. This is really like the perfect backup big man for a team. Steven Adams is great. I think he's going to be able to teach Alperen Şengün a lot of different things, complement Şengün without stepping on Şengün's toes. It's clearly Şengün's team. He's clearly the number one center there. Steven Adams will not jeopardize any of that, which is what makes this so perfect. He complements the Rockets. He does everything that they need him to do without confusing roles. There's no ego with Steven Adams. He seems to be one of the best teammates in the league, and I think will really positively impact the Houston Rockets going forward. So you might say, why do you think this is such a great trade for both sides? And I really think the Memphis Grizzlies are one of the biggest teams to watch between now and the start of NBA free agency. And right now you can't make trades until the end of the season. So Memphis, we got to sit and wait for a little bit for them. But there's a few things that they're really well positioned for. Getting 3 second-round picks in this deal, first of all, very important. They also got 2 second-round picks for Xavier Tillman. So you're looking at them in a situation with a big pick surplus of second-rounders. They already have all of their own first-round picks available to trade. They've also opened up money going into next season. They got off of all of the longer-term contracts that they didn't want to keep. Now all of their key players, Bane, Smart, John Morant, and Jaren Jackson Jr., those are the contracts they have on the books going forward. They also traded David Roddy. They were able to get a pick swap in that today with the Phoenix Suns. So you're looking at a situation here now where the Grizzlies have a pick surplus, both second rounders and an extra first rounder to work with that swap option from the Phoenix Suns. So you're looking at a team that is loaded. And you might say, well, how loaded are they, right? They're the Grizzlies picks. How many teams are going to want them? The big thing is they're not good this year because of all the injuries. So they're going to have a top 10 pick in this year's draft. Who knows where it'll fall in the lottery? Maybe pick number 1 even. Maybe pick number 2. Wherever it lies, it will be a more valuable asset than what other contenders around the league can offer. Imagine Boston going out into the marketplace this year. They're going to have pick 30 to offer, whereas the Grizzlies might have pick number 3. That is a significant difference. It will really give the Memphis Grizzlies legs to make a big-time trade this offseason if they want one, and I think the Grizzlies are really lining up for that. They have opened up a little bit of money. They've got plenty of room between them where they're currently sitting and the luxury tax going into next year. And I think because of that, the Grizzlies are going to be a dynamic team to watch when it comes to working in the trade market. The Rockets did their work early. They got a key player who's going to help them next season. I think the Memphis Grizzlies, it's a big to be determined yet for them, but they're going to work their way toward making a big time deal that's really going to help their franchise and get more talent, more really nice pieces in Memphis beside their star trio already, plus Marcus Smart. I just think they're in a really great spot. And once Brandon Clark comes back, you're looking at a good starting lineup that might get even better next offseason. Let me know your favorite trades down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you guys think. What trades today were your favorite in the NBA trade market? Obviously, a lot went down, so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And then huge thank you for watching. Again, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and we'll catch you guys in the very next Utility Sports video.